Yo, what is up? It's your boy JadeJonny, and today I'm going to be doing an interview with a Wildhearts team member. Today with me I have Randy, and Randy is going to be telling us a little bit about the Might style. So, Randy, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself before that?
Hi, yeah, I'm Randy. I am the brand manager for Wildhearts. Part of the dev team. My main job is to kind of speak for the development team and coordinate events and kind of monitor the community and do all that kind of fun stuff.
So, Randy, I've got to work a little bit with you on card releases beforehand. I got to reveal Airing, and I believe I got to reveal Allusion along with Aship's official art. And I just kind of wanted to take a second and say it's been a pleasure working with you. Really been really fun. And I've been loving seeing all the other reveals that you're doing with people.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been great working with you as well.
I also understand though that today you have quite the doozy for us, more than just the regular art reveals. We're gonna be doing something a little bit more, huh?
Yeah, thanks. It's been great working with you as well. And yeah, I have a ton of stuff to share with you today. It's going to be pretty awesome. Without going revealing too much, we have another familiar that's never been seen before, and I got a bunch of other new cards that we're going to see as well.
Well, I certainly can't wait to jump into that. But you also did say that you managed some of the community events and stuff like that. Was there anything in particular you wanted to talk about before we jump into the card reveals?
Yes, I would. So we have our inaugural tourney for a starter deck tournament coming up on November 9th, and it is going to give you the ability to win a exclusive promotional card. So that is the exclusive alternate art that you'll be able to win for making the top cut in the tournament. We think it's going to be a lot of fun regardless, so hopefully y'all come and participate. There's plenty of time. The Tabletopia mod is now available all the time, and there's also the print and play that people can come print out and play with their friends if they want as well to get some practice in. And if you want to play a game against the devs or another community member, you can just ping us, and I'm sure someone will play a game.
I'm preparing to do some print and play games with my brother later this week. So I've gotten all the sheets printed out right here in front of me, along with some of the mic cards.
Oh, that is fantastic.
So, we've been really excited to try out the game. He got to join us on a demo night the other week, and he said that he's been really interested in it ever since. So I'm looking forward to doing that with him later this week.
Excellent. I hope you all have a good time.
Oh.
I recently got to play it with my wife and daughter. My daughter finally wanted to play it, so we did that, and they whooped my butt, but it was pretty fun.
Well, I'm glad to hear that somebody can give you your comeuppance after that airing a game that I showed the other week. I gotta say, I'm glad somebody did it for me. So, let's go ahead and go back to the cards though real quick, because I'm really interested in seeing this new familiar that hasn't been revealed yet.
All right, so let's talk about Might. So the design philosophy behind Might is that it is very powerful. It is very durable. As you can see, that has block. I mean, the Chrism can't be KO'd. Might has typically better ability to keep bring your allies back if they get KO'd. It also, interestingly, has access to some control mechanics via lowering spaces in the opponent's field by being so imposing. And it also, because of all these things, it does not have access to ramp. So you won't see ramp in Might. But it's so big and powerful, does it really need it?
One of my favorite cards from Might has definitely been Terrorchick because of that protection that it provides with Guardian. I've just personally loved slamming down Terrorchick every time I see it, because I'm just like, I will always have a way to defend Chrism from losing its block if it ever does lose its block. And I will never be in a situation where I need to worry about that.
Yes, and I feel like Chrism really embodies the core principles of Might. You look at the ongoing, and if the Chrism would be KO'd, it isn't. It's just reset instead. So people kind of have to play around it with some of the other cards to return it to bench. But it's just this very tough golem that's going to kind of keep your field safe.
Yeah, and the KO effect.
And yeah,
the ability to reset is always crucial. There's only special is the only one that could really get around that by sending it back directly to the bench. So, I mean, it is certainly a great effect to be able to reset itself instead of getting knocked out.
Yeah, I mean, other styles will have access to that. I mean, mainly in the starter deck, you'll have like momentum shift and ferocity, and that will do that. And then in special, I think there's a lot of minus power you could give it, which will just come back. It'll default. So, what's your favorite? What do you like about Might?
Honestly, I like how much math is involved with it. Usually, whenever I think about like aggressive decks, like green decks in Magic, or just full-on aggro decks like Blue Eyes or something like that, in Yu-Gi-Oh, usually I don't think about all the math that will go into it. I just go big number. Big number is what matters. But like the amount of math that just is required with Might, you get +1/+1 here. You have locations that'll give you +3. You have other effects that they'll come down, give you +4, +6, and it's just there's a lot of math involved in it, and I like that. I like being able to track all of that while I'm actively trying to secure other locations. So I'm having to think about the 3 different locations while I'm also having all these plus and minus benefits going on. I definitely like that it takes a lot of thought process for that.
So what if I told you that Might not only was about big and powerful and strong creatures, but sometimes might also let you do something like this. So this helps you move your big powerful creatures around to help keep you to give you some tactical advantage.
That is a very great effect, especially on a debut that you're going to be able to use multiple times. That's just such a great effect.
Right. Imagine your Tornado got momentum shifted. Well, now you can discard them to redeploy them. Discard a card to redeploy them. And,
And then to be able to like come in and like switch out a Ignition for something else. Maybe switch locations with a Terrorchick to securely like protect your familiars. I mean,
yeah. So if you ended up kind of over deploying to like one of your big allies to a field you didn't want to, but you needed to last round, he can help you move that around. I think he's tactically very important to Might, just due to the fact that he has that ability to help you swap some creatures around and get your board kind of rearranged, which is something that Might typically has a harder time with than, say, tactics.
I do like the idea of suddenly having that expectation of not having to worry about momentum shift. That's also extremely fun.
Yeah.
Because one of the most important things that I've like started thinking about every time I've played is, does my opponent have the momentum shift? Do I have to worry about this all of a sudden? Will I have to worry about whether or not I can recover from a Siltsune? What could I possibly do to like have to stress through all this? Now with a new familiar instead of Chrism, which Chrism is still good, don't get me wrong, but being able to redeploy after being hit with the momentum shift or something similar, I mean, cannot be understated how like powerful of an effect it could be.
For sure, and it lets you really kind of set up the board in ways, because you don't know what field's going to be inactive, but we all know how much everyone likes Judge's Decree, and this lets you set up your board in ways where you might not have to worry about that as much. You got a big creature on field 1. You can move him to field. You have nothing in field 2. Move him to field 2. Move your big creature to field 2. So on and so forth.
I definitely do like the effect that this provides. I might definitely needed some more movement to be able to better secure locations, and I think this is like one of those cards that you can look at and go like, this is exactly what I was thinking I needed.
Yeah, and it actually pairs really well with a field that is currently in Tabletopia, which is the Crag, which is... Give me 1 minute here. I need to find this card again. I had it, and then
The Crag is like one of those cards that a lot of my Yu-Gi-Oh friends look at and go like, "Oh my god, this is horrifying." They call it, and I quote, "Mystic Mine Light." Um, being able to have a pseudo floodgate involved with involved in the locations, they were kind of like, "Oh, this is wild," and it's definitely caught a lot more players' attention because before, the way that the game looked, players were like, "Oh, this doesn't look like that intimidating of a game," or that because I've described it mostly as Marvel Snap Light or Marvel Snap physical or Marvel Snap physical, not necessarily light, but not light like. Uh, and so a lot of players are kind of like going like, "Oh, this sounds like it's just going to be easy," but it's like once you introduce like cards like the Windsky Crag, it's just kind of like a lot more players are catching attention to the fact that it might have some more depth than expected.
Yeah, we really wanted the game to be easy to learn and get into because we wanted it to be accessible to children. But we also wanted it to have that crunchy, tactical feel to allow adults and competitive people to really have that space to express themselves as well. Is the Craig, which is a card I feel like works exceptionally well with the Tornado because you can put the Tornado in here and then swap it with another ally to fill that.
Being able to put an Ignition, take an Ignition out of like, you know, a high cost area and then putting down that 5 attack familiar instead of having that Ignition there, I definitely get what you mean. Because, right. I mean, I go to Ignition as an example because it is a low cost with a low power output, but it also has a powerful ability of giving your familiars +1/+1. Because, I mean, that is just a powerful ability for such a low cost. So I might use Ignition as an example quite a bit throughout this interview. He looks better than I expected. He is the new Ash Sheep. I love him. I love him.
He is our amazing Fiery Bison.
I love him so much. He is better than I expected. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'd say he fills, you know, kind of what, if you were to think of Might, you know, like a Might ally, like the Ignition's a really great card to think of because it gives friendly familiars +1 power, and it does a really good job at increasing power for Might and being very cheap. So
it is certainly one of my favorite cards whenever I am playing Might because it's like I want to draw this card turn 1. If I draw it later, I'm not mad about it because it still gives me that 4 power bonus because I mean it is essentially 4 power. And I mean like every time I draw it, I'm just like I want to drop it as soon as possible, and I hate when it gets stuck in my hand because I'm like this is such a good value output, but it's like if I don't draw it on a decent curve along with all the other cards in my hand, I just hate it.
Yeah, it's got such a huge amount of early game potential, but at the same point with only being 1 cost, like if you draw it later too, it's like not nearly as bad as drawing some other 1 cost cards later on. Like it's still very powerful.
Yeah, I mean turn 2 if I have to play it alongside a Giant Growth, I'm not mad about it. Turn 3 if I have to play it alongside, you know, a Terror Chick and a Giant Growth, I'm extremely happy about it. I mean, it's a very powerful card, and I just love dropping it every time I get the chance to.
Yeah, Terror Chick with Giant Growth is such a, like, evil combo, because especially if you toss it on the Chrism, because like you're just not getting rid of that then.
Yeah, it's like have fun with my guy that not only has block resets itself, but now is protected by a Guardian that also can have block. I mean, that's just that's just a terrifying combo to ever see on your opponent's side of the board.
Yep. All right, so we've talked about the Ignition, but now let's talk about Giant Growth, since we had just mentioned it. This card is the card that everybody loves at night.
It's an awesome card. It's just a great value proposition. I mean, it has speed, so it doesn't take up your action. Essentially, it has the draw too, so it replaces itself and gets you an extra draw. And then the bonus power that goes to familiars is just, the icing on the cake.
And it lends into that control because it removes a space from your opponent's field.
But I mean, having that control aspect, especially alongside Chrism, for example, which is going to need a lot of power, like value gone into that space, removing that extra space, your opponent's going to be looking at a hard time of getting above like an 8 or 9 number with just 3 spaces. So, I personally love the value proposition that comes from Giant Growth, with just being able to maximize the amount of power on one creature, also replacing itself, not counting as an action, and then removing that extra space. That's such a good control aspect of this card, and I love it so much.
Yeah, and removing spaces is kind of one of those control philosophies for Might. So there may be other cards that might remove additional spaces as well to really hammer that advantage home.
Combined with Crag, that's also going to be a powerful effect, because if you can minimize the amount of spaces that they can play into on round 3 or 4, and then also they're forced to they're limited on what they can play because of the Crag's ability. I think that like Might is definitely an undervalued deck in terms of control currently from like a player perspective. So I think that having aspects that definitely play into it, like the Giant Growth, where you can go like, oh well, whenever I go to construct, I'll make sure I put 2 Giant Growth in here. I'll make sure that I have a location that is Windscarred Crag for those later stages of the game. I think that's a very important thing going into it for a player.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a lot of advantages to do that. And the thing with Might is it's so big and powerful that even if somebody does kick that, you're not really at a disadvantage, and you might even get it back with the Judge's deck too. So now let's show you a card you haven't seen. Since we're talking about control, I'll just say that raccoons are some of my favorite animals. I love them.
A 1 cost for 2 power. Whenever you play an item card, you give a friendly creature +1 power. That's a pretty good effect considering how many powerful item cards are on the game. I mean, even if you just talk Might, I mean, we've already gone over. Oh no, we haven't touched the amulet. What am I talking about? I'm reading the amulet right now, and I'm like, wait, no, we didn't talk about this yet. What am I doing? I mean, with this powerful effect being combined with Sylph Amulet is probably like one of the best things ever, in my opinion. I mean,
yeah, the Sylph Amulet.
My dyslexia is killing
one
me.
Of those cards that's going to keep your allies back on the field, and then when you do that, you're also going to give a friendly creature +1. And he's just a cute little raccoon. That's going to make your stuff more powerful.
I'm just imagining a world where I have this raccoon and I destroy Ignition with Fury Potion Fury Potion's support ability, right? And then I proceed to play the Sylph Amulet to bring back Ignition, give +1/+1 to all of my familiars, and then also giving Ignition block, while being able to give Ignition a +1 power bonus from the raccoon. I just see a world like the best case scenario where I'm just getting massive advantage off of just a 1-cost item card.
Yeah, he's definitely going to synergize into those heavy item card decks, and and as you were saying, like the ability to recur your allies with Might synergizes exceptionally well with kind of the opposite with Ferocity, where you're not really sacrificing them, but you're KOing them for power sometimes.
This just opens up a lot of avenues to different items, and I mean, like, that's just talking about the Sylph Amulet, which is the only item that we currently know of for Might. But I mean, whenever we go to talk about different synergies or synergistic combos with other elements, I mean, like I said earlier, you have the Fury Potion, which can give plus power during scoring. Then you'll have the +1 that you'll gain from the raccoon itself. Looking at a +7 power for an extremely low cost. I mean, that's just the tip of it, because then you get the special, and then it just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah, like Foxtail Necklace, not only do you get an added resource, you also get a power.
And it just continues. And I mean, if you're able to put them down onto your familiars too to get those bonuses. I mean, put it on Chrism. We already talked about how insanely difficult it is to get rid of Chrism, even if they force a reset on it. You're kind of okay with that because this is just an added benefit that you've gotten for it. I mean, it's essentially the same. It is the same stat line as Ignition. So, do you really care if you're losing that benefit, especially if your deck is probably going to be built around synergizing with this? Then you're able to, utilize this effect later on again. It's just this opens up an extremely interesting avenue for Might, and I definitely cannot wait to play with it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what the community does with art.
And it's one of those cards that'll definitely just only get better with time. I mean, like you said with Foxtail Necklace, I mean, that's a card that ramps itself, replaces itself. Over time, we're going to see more 1 cost, 2 cost, low cost item cards. Lucky Hat reduces the cost of another card. You could reduce the cost of another item card, and then you can play another item card after Lucky Hatting, getting +2 bonus for essentially 0 mana. That's just for 0 resources spent. Well, 1 resource because of the initial cost of the raccoon, but I mean, the synergies can just keep going and going and going.
Right, but yeah, I mean, if you are, say, running the Owl then with that from Tactics, then you're just really adding to that recursion.
Yeah.
But this, I misspoke earlier when I said control with the raccoon, but this is the card I was thinking of.
Wait, is it okay if I leave the raccoon in there, or do you need me to cut the raccoon out?
No, you're fine.
Okay. I want to make sure that you're not revealing anything. We're not, revealing anything we're not supposed
No,
to.
I just said that the raccoon had control when really it had ramp, and this was the card that has control.
Speralt, it's a 2 cost with 4 power, and its debut is choosing an opposing support resource and turn it face down. That is wild. That is absolutely wild.
Might's not allowed to have ramp, but it is allowed to mess with your resource.
One of the things that I've been telling my friends is that Alistair's Guide is like the objectively best resource, or it feels like the objectively best resource because you get to that movement so frequently, and this just throws a wrench into that. I love that. Oh my god. Being able to disrupt Alistair's Guide, being able to disrupt that free destruction, that free KO that Tactics has, or not Tactics, the Fury has, or
yeah, Fury has Fury Potion played as the resource will give you.
For a second there, I thought I said the wrong name. I was like, no, Fury's the right name. But the Fury has with Fury Potion. I mean, being able to disrupt everything, because you could remove Special's ability to give a card speed. That is such a great effect.
Yes, and already support cards are designed with the philosophy in mind that there should be a trade-off with playing the support card as itself or playing the support card as a resource. And this just adds another wrinkle in there because what if I have Speralt in my hand?
The other night, I remember very distinctly that Hearthstone John, that's who we call another content creator who has started making Wildhearts, because I'm John and he's John. But the other night, I remember Hearthstone John placed a momentum shift in his discard pile on like turn 3 or round 3, I want to say. And this card definitely would have changed the outcome of the game because I could have been able to flip that momentum shift that he'd already used as an equipment or as a spell, and then I could have flipped that face down and just not had to worry about it for the remainder of the game. I mean, this card is supports are like I've told you, I've told Chris, I've told everybody, that I talked to about this game. Supports, in my opinion, are like what a deck is going to be determined by like the outcome of it. So being able to just remove that is that is wild.
Yeah, and yeah, because supports are kind of one of the unique things about Wildhearts too is, like when you play a card using them, you get to use their added effect, their added bonus, and that can be really, really strong. Like Momentum Shift's bonus, for example, gives a familiar block. So that's extremely powerful.
Being able to remove that, block that movement, the power if you're in a Might Mirror match, I mean, honestly, it is probably one of the single most desired effects that I've had when playing Wildhearts, is just going like, if I didn't have to worry about them KOing their own creatures with Fury Potions so that they would have more space, they played that one cost that only has a debut ability. I don't want them killing it, or...
Right, exactly.
The amount of scenarios where this effect can just come in clutch, I can't even begin to, like, put a limit on all the thoughts that are going through my head right now. I'm going to start reading, like, every single support sitting in front of me, and I'm going to list off every single way that it would suck to be me to have this flip face down. I mean, that is such a powerful effect, because, I mean, like, there are so many times where I've, like, gotten out of a call, or, like, ended a night getting off, and Chris goes like, oh, what'd you think about this? And I've been like, man, support sucks. I hate support. Why did my opponent draw 4 of them and I didn't draw a single one? What is this?
Right, yeah, the difference in a good support or not having it is quite... I mean, it can turn the tide.
Now,
and a lot of the support cards are...
Just to clarify, because I know that this will probably come up whenever the video gets posted, that can't flip down Inspiration, correct? Inspiration doesn't classify as a support, it just classifies as Inspiration?
That is correct. Yes, you cannot flip over someone's Inspiration.
Okay, cool. I just know that's going to be a question, and I want to make sure that we cover that before anybody gets a chance to ask it.
No, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so support, for it to be considered a support, it has to have the little support bubble on the bottom of it, and Inspiration doesn't have that. So this is a card that has been in the Tabletopia mod since the beginning, and honestly, it rarely gets play. Hopefully it's going to get a little more play now that it has some art. This is just a good little blocker tortoise to just sit on a field and not be negatively interacted with by your opponents.
The major thing that keeps me from playing it whenever I draw it is less, it's less about the fact that I don't think it's a good value opposition, because I mean, if you look at like Ignice and Terrorchick, I mean, you're going like 1-2, 1-2, 1-2 for power, so obviously, like, you know, you'd expect a 2-cost to have like a 4 or 5 range. So I mean, the value is there, the block is there, but I feel like there's so many other impactful cards that it can often get lost in it, and you'll like forget, like, oh, this has block, so it's fine to play it, even if it, you know, they can't target it down, it can't be removed. You're always like looking at the rest of your hand going like, oh, but I could play Airing and, you know, get a stat reduction. I mean, I have access to the Giant Growth. We've covered it multiple times this video. I mean, like, it's also a 2-cost, and you're like sitting here and you're like, at what point does the block outweigh, you know, the aggressiveness that comes with everything else? But I mean, like, also at the same time with the 5 power, I mean, that's also pretty aggressive too, because I mean, that's just 1 less than Giant Growth provides.
Yeah, and it sticks around.
Yeah. And if they don't...
It doesn't, however, give you added cards or lower space in your opponent's field, but...
if they don't remove the block that turn, they have to deal with it the next round, because it's not a familiar, so it doesn't reset itself with, it doesn't remove it at the end phase. I mean, that's just... I mean, it is a good value proposition. I just feel like a lot of players often overlook it, because, like, you know, I have Giant Growth, why do I need it?
Right. I feel like it's also really good if you use it with the Owl Illusion, which is the Tactics familiar, because then you can drop 2 of them down, and then it just starts getting kind of ridiculous, because now you have to invest to get rid of 10 power, which is a lot.
I mean, that's more than Chrism has. I mean, if Chrism ever gets buffed and, you know, you have 2 of these in the same zone as a Chrism, or in the same location as a Chrism, you're outpacing that Chrism, you know, at an exponentially higher rate than the Chrism's going to be able to keep up with if you actually start investing into it. I mean, I think a lot of synergies are at the wayside because of the limited player pool at the moment. So you guys, everybody watching this video should go and check out the Tabletopia mod, so that you guys can actually start picking up the game a bit more and testing out, so that we have a wider pool to look at, instead of just the players who have stuck with the same strategies. Because I'm not gonna lie, I've stuck with the same strategies too. So
Yeah, for sure. I'll add to that and say that the game, as the game is easy to learn, but like I learn new stuff every time I play. Like I think of new strategies and new synergies with the starter deck every time I play it. So it's definitely got a lot of replayability. And this is an item that can possibly go really good with the Shadoon that we showed earlier.
I'm reading it, and I'm reading it again. I'm reading it again. And every time I read it, I'm just like, is it real? And then I reread what it says underneath its name. And I'm like, there's no way this is real. This is such a great card. So for those for those of you who can't read it, because of like the size potentially, or just because of the fact that I might have messed something up in editing. I don't know what it could possibly be, but it's a 3-cost called Wildheart, and it's an item card. So it does, like he was saying, Randy was saying, does synergize with the raccoon that we saw earlier. And it chooses up to 4 friendly creatures, and it has 4 abilities. You can give +4 power. You can give one creature +4 power. You can give another creature +3 power. You can give another creature +2 power, and then you can give another creature block. That is for 3. Oh my god, we were just talking about how Ignition comes down for a 4 power benefit. This comes down with a 7 power benefit and being able to give something block. That is insane. Or 9 power. I'm sorry, I can't do math. 9 power, and then if the raccoon's on the board, it's a 10 power
plus block.
Plus block.
Yep.
Which just by itself nearly triples, more than doubles what it Ignition does. That is.
Yeah, mine is all about plus power, and the Volrock's like, yes, it is.
That is insane. That is. I've found something that has made me want to play more than Giant Growth. If I have this in Giant Growth, my hand around 3, I'm playing this.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna turn some tides.
Something interesting to note, though, is you said that all of these cards would be available starting tomorrow, the day after this video releases, which should be Thursday, unless something absolutely horrible happens.
Yes, so we are going to add all of the cards that aren't currently in the Tabletopia mod to the Tabletopia mod on Fridays. And these cards will exist beyond what would normally be available in the starter set. And we're going to let people play with them on Friday nights during our Wildhearts community night. And we're going to do that. We're going to kind of re-add them in every Friday and kind of keep that going with like the future deep dives that reveal as well. So you'll have these cards on Friday, and then on Saturday, they won't be in there. But the next Friday, they will be in there along with other new cards.
I know quite a few players who are going to be antsy to get their hands on this card in particular, because this is a very fun-looking card with a very powerful-looking ability.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it played, as long as it's not being played against me.
Well, let's avoid telling John about this for a while. Maybe if we don't tell him, he won't know about it.
He won't know. Sounds good. Right, let's talk about this card. Has been in the starter deck. I don't think people draw it very often. I know I've never drawn it in any game that I've ever played using my Wild. This card hates me.
I don't think I've ever seen this card drawn before.
I know, right? It's in there. Like, it is. It's just never drawn.
It's in there at the same number that Judge's Decree is, right? I mean, like, Judge's Decree is, like, basically a mythical level card right now.
Yeah, there's just one. But I've drawn Judge's Decree. I've never drawn. Yeah, I've never drawn this. I don't know.
So for those
But
of you, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say this. So this card, I mean, just reading this card, I think it's self-evident why it's so amazing. Each friendly ally gets +2 power and block, and if you have 6 or more creatures with block, gain 2 VP. That is, I mean, with all the low-cost power and the ability to like recur your allies back with, you know, that amulet or stuff like that, it's pretty easy to have 6 or 4 allies, and then if you give 4 of them block and you have, say, or 5 allies and you give 5 of them block and you have the Charisma out, boom, 2 VP as well.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be almost impossible to come back from that.
I definitely think that a lot of players like appreciate just how much like a creature, how many bodies you can get on the board in Might specifically, because I mean like we've talked about multiple times. I mean, we have Ignice and we have Terrorchick. I mean, we have access to we'll soon have access to the Raccoon. I mean, we're going to be looking at like maybe a solid third of your deck is nothing but 1 cost. I mean, so getting those bodies on the board is not going to be the difficult part.
Right.
Unless you somehow end up in a situation where there's 2 Crags and then be sad, I guess.
2 Crags is no fun. That is not fun at all.
That happened to John and me in our first game with Crags, and we refused to play Crag after that. We were just like, never mind, This is horrible.
1 Crag is fun. 2 Crags, if your deck isn't built around it, is just a wild experience in not being able to play 2 fields.
Definitely was not an enjoyable experience for either of us. But I mean, I definitely think that a lot of players will undervalue just they'll see Might as big power, but like I was saying earlier, there's a lot of different tactics that can go into Might, and it requires a lot more thinking than you'd normally expect, just because you have so many different bonuses in your hand at any given time, and then you also have so many different placements you need to worry about, because you are playing those low cost cards. You are playing 1 cost, 2 cost. You're not playing, you know, a big 4 cost on turn, 2. You're not playing a guy with like 8 attack outside of like Chrism on turn 2. That's just not something you're going to be experiencing quite frequently.
Right, and with the fact that the game is typically only 4 rounds and it's very back and forth, means that your decisions kind of almost have to be more meaningful, which I think is something that makes it easier to play the cheaper cards, or because you don't want to like have to pass first, and or I think it's going to make like cards like Voltrock, like we showed earlier, be played extremely frequently, because it's just like this, like I get 9 power, and that feels very, very good. Where some cards, they're not as obvious with how they are so good. Like Unity Tactics. I mean, Unity Tactics, I feel like it's pretty obvious, but
yeah,
I just don't think people get it. I think if people got it, they'd play it.
Oh yeah, it's definitely an issue if nobody ever draws it, because I mean, I've never seen a single person draw it. Like, maybe Chris has like once.
Yeah, I think he has.
But I mean, like, I have personally hardly ever seen somebody draw the card. If not only once, just never drawn the card.
So for those of you watching, if you come play, see if you can draw this card, because, we kind of need to see it played. And if you do play, you're probably going to win, because it's an amazing card. Is there any card that I revealed that you want me to bring back up and show again?
I feel like the item card might be good to go over some of the items and other elements that have currently been revealed. I can put up the ones without arts on the screen. No, the raccoon. My bad.
Oh, sorry. I heard item, so I.
Yeah, the raccoon. That way we can go over some item cards that can synergize pretty well with it. Because I mean, I've only touched really on. I think the only like actual thing I've talked about was Lucky Cat. Being able to synergize with getting its bonus twice if you could play it into another. But I mean, we hardly touched on like the idea of like Allusion with it and other cards. Because I mean, like I think that's like the most like interesting card that we've discussed today is is Shadoon. Am I pronouncing that right? Shadoon?
Yeah, Shadoon.
Okay.
Yeah, and that makes me happy because, you know, raccoon. I love raccoons. I think they are just so cool in real life, and I'm just happy that this one turned out so well.
Yeah, I mean, it has the most interesting effect out of all the lot today. I mean, I'm gonna cut this portion out, right? The familiar being able to bounce stuff around. I mean, that's an interesting ability for a familiar to have. But I mean, at the same time, like you're only getting that to be realistically once. Your opponent's not gonna return it back to the bench so that you can replay it, because then you'll have that manipulation. I don't think a skilled player would. No offense to somebody who would, of course. I mean, this course you can
Right. Unless, of course, you would put giant growth on that, and then if, say, somebody momentum shifts it to get it away, you can just bring it back, and
yeah, but I feel like
giant growth stays. I mean, giant growth. I mean, no one. It's never come up before because like no one's had the ability to bring it back. But giant growth actually stays on it until the end of the round, even if it goes to the bench, because plus counters stay.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not really plus counters, so it's not like being stolen with momentum shift, but like that effect would stay on it.
I feel like whenever you get to like tournaments and stuff like that, like most players would know about that. You know, it wouldn't be an uncommon, you know, thing.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's still an 11 power creature then for two.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a cost that, you know, worth the paying. I mean, if I have to discard a card to redeploy something, I'm definitely not worried. I mean, I'll discard my entire hand to cast Judge's Decree. I don't even care. Like, if... I mean, the hand only matters as much as the cards that, you know... If I'm about to lose off of my opponent momentum shifting me, then... Or if I'm about to lose a location off my opponent momentum shifting me, I don't care how many cards are in my hand at that point. I'm like... I mean, everybody's seen me play with, like, one card in my hand for the entire game. I mean, as long as I'm able to secure zones and win locations, I mean, that's what truly matters in the game.
True. Yeah. Yep. And then making sure you don't fall too far behind in later round.
Yeah.
By your actions. But, yeah, I mean, we talked about, you know, synergies earlier. I think running two of these with Illusion and a Might Tactics deck would be wildly fun. Every time you play an get +2 power, like, oh my goodness.
And even if you don't go Might Tactics, I mean, Might Special can also fully utilize it. I mean, we already talked about, like, you know, Foxtail Necklace, you know, being able to use that to go into another Foxtail Necklace, or going Foxtail Necklace into Sylph Amulet, and recurring Ignition, or I'm trying to think of something else that'd be better than Ignition, but I just keep going back to Ignition because Ignition's just really great. I just love its debut trigger.
You know, I mean, honestly, it is a really solid play there because the Ignition is just kind of this like quintessential Might ramp card. You know, you're just not really ramp, but Might power card. Like you are paying one, getting, as you said earlier, 4 power on the board.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a great cost card. And I mean, even if you go into like Tactics Might, I mean, it still has a lot of utility for Tactics Might, because like I said earlier, I mean, right now we only have 2 items for Might, 1 for Tactics, if I recall correctly. And it's just Lucky Hat. Am I tripping? Lucky Bat, not Lucky Hat. I keep saying Lucky Hat, and I don't know why I keep saying Lucky Hat.
No, it is Lucky Hat. You're right. It's a
okay.
Hat. It is a hat.
Okay. My dyslexia is killing me. Oh, we have Alistair's Guide, too. What am I talking about?
Yeah, I was going to say, Alistair's Guide.
I don't know why I thought it was a spell. I don't know why I thought it was magic. But I mean, we also have Alistair's guide. We have Lucky Hat that can go into an Alistair's guide, which can seek out another Alistair's guide, or another or it can seek out a Sylph Amulet, or it can seek out, or it can seek out Volt Rock. I mean, you
Right.
I,
Right.
I mean, the synergies are all there for a low cost, a low cost item deck to synergize really well. I mean, with almost every single element. And I think that's really something I enjoy about this game is just having those synergies built into each and every single deck. Because, I mean, this one card opens up an entire archetype that you can build off of. And
Yeah,
it's an archetype that can exist in every single element. It's not just you're restricted to just playing Might Tactics if you want this deck to work. You can go Might Special, you can go Might. I'm pretty sure, a Volt Rock deck would be a very good deck to build into with this, because, I mean, one Volt Rock is 10 power plus block. That's insane.
hmm Yeah, and might with just the two familiars we've seen earlier today. I mean, being able to swap places around with your Chrism, or I mean, you wouldn't really need to do that, um, but having the ability to have a field be totally locked down by the Chrism because it's so big and powerful, and then being able to use your other familiar to like flip some of your allies around, pretty good.
This one card has just introduced so many avenues that you can go down with, and I can't wait to like experiment with each and every single one.
I'm curious to see how players will prioritize knocking it out or not. Like, are they going to prioritize knocking out the Shadoon over other cards in Might? Or is it going to be able to sit on your field and be this like passive buffer whenever you play an item card?
As a player, I feel like if I'm in a situation where Shadoon is sitting there and my opponent has a Terrachik in another field, I'm probably gonna prioritize the Terrachik just because I know that if anything goes into that field, that location, I would need to get rid of that immediately. So having the security of that, I'm probably gonna let Shadoon trigger 2 to 3 times before I even go like this is problematic now. But at that point, I'm also gonna be thinking, is there any point in doing this? Because how many items have they used now compared to what I'm gonna have to deal with later? I mean, did they get their 3 triggers in for that +3 power? So is this just essentially a 1 cost for 5 power? Did they get their value off of it? I mean, I clearly can't stop it now. I mean,
Right. So yeah, maybe you want to wipe it out immediately when they play it, so they don't get any synergies with it, because maybe players won't play it until they're going to synergize with it. It's hard to say.
definitely one of those things that's probably going to take some experimentation with before there's a definitive answer on how players will address it.
Yeah, for sure. And the games are so back and forth that they vary so wildly that there's not like in other games I feel like it's really easy to build like a meta deck in a sense, because you can just kind of like you do your one thing in a silo and they do their one thing on a silo, because like you have your whole turn and then they have their own whole turn. But like here, like I couldn't just build a deck and then like be like, well, it just does this, because like I have to react to whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
As you're doing it, so
I don't think there's going to be a definitive way to just objectively solve a format or a deck in this game. Just too much reactive stuff. I mean, it's not a game that you can be proactive with. You definitely have to be extremely reactive in most cases.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, some players will play the decks exactly, like, it's completely differently than, like I've played against you playing Might Tactics. And I played against Dankist, other John, playing Might Tactics, and you guys play them completely differently. It's like night and day.
Yeah, and that's good. There's just tons of different ways to do these, and I think it's just really like my play style is often very reactionary. I'm not going to speak for how Dankist dad plays, but
he definitely has picked up like a more proactive style from like how much I've played against him, or from what I've played against him.
every every time I want to go to another screen, it kills this. Okay, I'm just gonna not.
I can just add it in and post.
Okay, yeah, good. Because sorry about the cards dropping so many times. Every time, like I don't even click out of it. I like minimize it, and it will like kill the.
I don't mind adding it in post because I'm already worried about the card size as it is on camera because the image is small. I keep having to full screen on it as it is.
Oh, look at this.
You don't have to do that.
Yeah,
It's fine. I mean, it's fine. But I mean, so I definitely don't mind it.
Okay. So we've talked a little bit about how might synergizes with tactics and special and ferocity. How do you think might is gonna synergize with might?
I think, as a player perspective, or as a hope perspective, or just an analysis perspective, which one do you want?
Dealer's choice. Whatever you want.
From a player's perspective, I'm not too interested in playing might solo necessarily, just because what it's lacking from other elements, I feel like you won't need much from those other elements to make up for it. If I were building a quote-unquote pure might deck, I'd probably be playing with Illusion, and then throwing in you know, a couple movement cards, maybe adding in something consistency tools like Alistair's Guide, something that allows me to open up more strategies than just limiting myself to might itself, but definitely just playing with might as the focus of the deck. For example, if I want to play Shadoon, then or if I want to play a Shadoon focused deck that's pure might, then I might just go I'm going to play Illusion so I can trigger the Shadoon twice, and then I'll throw Alistair's Guide and Lucky Head in there so that I can reduce the cost of my amulets, of my Alistair's Guide, while getting the plus bonuses and being able to filter through to find the other pieces for this combo. So when it comes to might, I don't feel like playing it pure necessarily is the best way to go about it. I feel like there's definitely I feel like as a player I'd want to experiment more with a splash of another style in there as well, because you just miss out on so much by not doing that, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I because I don't want to detract and say like it doesn't work by itself, because it probably will work by itself. I just feel like having that other option of adding the consistency from another element to fully utilize might as a focus. Because when I'm talking about, like, you know, another element, I mean, like, you know, 4 to 6 cards in that other element. You know, it's the movement that comes from an item or support from tactics. Or I think tactics would probably be the only one I'd do it, just because of the illusion. But I also don't know if that would just be for a focus on a Shadoon deck, because if I don't focus on the Shadoon deck and I go for a broader, wide range, I'd probably be looking more for, at that point I probably might just go full might with the two familiars that we have, and use those lower cost cards to try to gain a fully beneficial effects from moving, and then going with the locations that give +1 power every time I move to it, or and maybe a Windscarred Crag so that I can limit where they can put cards into that, while also having it, you know, those low cost powers building up inside that location. I hope I explained that right. I hope I explained that good.
Yeah, I followed it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, that's one of those interesting things, right? Because like I mean, obviously there's not enough cards to do a might deck, what's available in the starter deck right now, because you would need 30 cards. But no, it will definitely be viable, and you know, we can just kind of see how some of those other familiars that we might be, you know, aren't in the starter deck might really come to play a strong role in the ability to do that for monocolor, just in any style. But yeah, I definitely agree that splashing in a little bit of another style to give you kind of like what you feel like you're missing out of the one style is probably one of the favorite things that I personally do when I do like deck building on my own, just because it lets you focus on the strength that you're trying to get, and then like really focus on that with shoring up maybe some of the deficiencies like you feel like the deck would have.
Yeah, I mean, and it's that's like the only like thing that I've really like felt well when I'm wanting to criticize the game is like it sucks that I feel shoehorned into forcing an element to happen by having to have a familiar of that specific element. Because I mean, I get why. Obviously, I mean, you can't just break the color wheel for fun, and you can't just and the color wheel has to exist in some like aspect. But it's like if I want the consistency that comes with might, or if I want the consistency to go with might, then I do have to go into tactics. And it's like I get why it's there, but man, sometimes I hate it.
Yeah, we have a design philosophy that restrictions breed creativity, right? Because if you just use whatever card you wanted, then people could theoretically just figure out what the best cards were that worked with each other and then just turn that into a deck. Where this way it's like, this has a style and a weakness and a thing that it needs, and you can shore that up with another style. But if you do that, then you can't have cards from these other two styles. And then those colors and those styles might be able to counter whatever it is you're doing. And it kind of makes this like very, not really like rock, paper, scissors, because there's just so much out there that it's going to just be like this. Well, this deck does this one thing really well. How does your deck do the thing that you're trying to do? Can you counter me or not? Or are they going to fight over the field? And is it just kind of come down to like tactics and the cards we drew?
I do like that design philosophy because I mean it like you said it forces innovation and outside thinking. I definitely think that's a thing that a lot of players struggle with, and I like that it's forced in this game.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm excited that as a Magic player before this, like I would build decks that I feel like didn't take a whole lot of skill. Like you just kind of do it does like the one thing, and then like you say a graveyard reanimator deck, right? So you're just using like this one card and it brings out this other thing, and like you can do it on turn one, and as long as you get the card you needed, like you pretty much win. And that's not something that will work here, right? Because there's just such this heavy ingrained tactics with the actions. So
yeah, I play similar Magic decks, so I definitely understand that. I mean, I'm having to scrap like multiple decks at a time just because it's like every deck ends up the same way, and I'm just like, I hate this. So I do like that this game comes in with that built-in filter via the gameplay itself and not just the decks, the way the decks are built.
Well, and it's going to make it easier for future sets to not have as much power creep, right? Like if we are, because I don't think anyone likes that. I mean, maybe they do. Maybe I'm totally wrong, and everyone loves power creep.
Oh yeah, everybody loves replacing their decks within the first week of a new set. That's just my favorite thing in the world. If I'm not replacing half my commander deck in like every other month, then I mean, am I truly playing a game?
Right.
No offense to other card games.
Well, and as much as we maybe disparage on Magic, like nobody can deny that game has been a pillar in the TCG community forever, and is responsible for probably a lot of people actually playing TCG. So I am in no way saying it's a bad game.
Oh yeah, and they've definitely revolutionized esports as a whole. I mean, like it's kind of hard to say that there wouldn't be a Hearthstone competitive scene without Magic having had one. I mean,
right. You can still love a game and have it do things that annoy you.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of Chris, no, I'm kidding.
Oh, I hope you leave that in there. No, I'm kidding.
So we've discussed the synergies and some of the new cards that are being revealed. Now, something I'm really interested about is how well these cards seem to synergize with the locations. Is that just like, are all elements built to synergize with those locations, or is some of these effects just kind of incidental, or were the cards designed afterwards to work with them?
No, styles were definitely designed to synergize with certain locations. We wanted to be very thematic. So like imagine like these locations are kind of like maybe where you're from, or maybe where you've been training, or where you with your familiars and your allies and stuff. So when you get to the tournament, right? So you're gonna have this like crystal essentially. So like thematically in the game, imagine this. You're like kind of going to the tournament. You're like dropping a crystal down, and it's sort of like changing that area in the arena to like match your field. So that's basically what's happening. And the opponents are doing that too. So that's where this kind of comes in. Like you're kind of bringing a piece of that field into this tournament where you're competing, and you're kind of connected with it because maybe that's where you've been training. So that's where it makes sense. Like I'm gonna pick these fields. This is where thematically I've been with my familiars and doing this stuff, and that's gonna kind of give me this advantage because that's what I've been trained with or what I've been doing.
I definitely do like the thematics that go into it with the RPG and how the lore factors into the actual gameplay itself. I mean, I'm not much of a TTRPG player, as we've like well established at this point, but my play group does love TTRPGs, and they're extremely invested in the idea of picking up a card game that has those TTRPGs lore's element built into it. I mean, I have been told I am playing the game regardless of how I feel about it.
Excellent. Well, I hope you really like it. One thing we really wanted was everything to make thematic sense and just make sense overall. Like, personally, I'm one of those really annoying people to watch certain movies with because if something doesn't make sense in the movie, I will probably point it out.
Oh, yeah, I love Harry Potter too.
Um, so okay, so I don't know if you've seen like Armageddon, but like they have fire in space, or if they have like if they lose track of like something basic within their own magical like continuity, right? Like so if you have something that works one way in like movie one and then by movie three it doesn't work anymore and you never explained why, like
The Trace in Harry Potter, the Night Bus in Harry Potter,
right.
how Horcruxes are
Yes.
made in Harry Potter. I mean, it just keeps going. Why does it just keep going?
So yeah, so if you lose your own plot or your own internal consistency, I'm gonna be annoyed. And we don't really want that in Wildheart. We want we want you to feel like this is a world that makes sense, and all the pieces make sense, and we're not just like hand waving them in a way where like, oh, why are we picking fields and putting them in an arena? Like that doesn't make any sense. Well, no, like there is a reason, and here's the in-law reason why, and here's how it makes sense, and here's how it's connected to your characters and all that kind of stuff.
It's definitely something I do like having, is that lore built into the game. I mean, lore is like my favorite thing about card games. I mean, like when it comes to Magic, I know most of Magic's lore up until after War of the Spark, and then I was just kind of like, okay, now we're just getting dumb. So I mean, but I mean, it is definitely probably my single most favorite thing when going into card games is just wanting to learn all that lore.
Yeah, because a lot of those characters can be very interesting. Like I love Magic's lore, like Jace and
The
oh,
the entire Urza line. Oh my
yeah,
god.
Urza and gosh, I just forgot the name.
Nicobolus. I mean,
Nicobola, thank you. I love Nicobolas.
and then how Jared Gideon, how his name wasn't even Gideon, it was completely different, and that's I just can't get over that. I'll never get over.
Oh yeah, that's super funny.
Uh, but no, it's definitely one of my favorite things is to get into that lore. So being able to explore the lore built into it by its own world is just something I'm looking forward to. And if you guys are curious about that, by the way, the Kickstarter for the RPG, I believe, releases on the starts on the 29th, if I recall correctly.
Check.
I read it like literally like minutes before the interview, so like I hope I got this right.
Yes, it is on October 29th. We're launching the Kickstarter for our TTRPG.
So so if you guys are interested in like wanting to pick that up, then I mean I will definitely leave a link it down in the description below for you guys to check out the TTRPG. It'll come with the exclusive promo cards if I recall correctly. No.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, cool.
It does come with exclusive promo cards for the Chrism, which we saw. And then if you've been in the Tabletopia mod, there's also the Fairtune, the Owlusion, and the Infernander. It's going to come with exclusive alt art promo cards for all of those.
So if you guys are interested in getting in on that stuff early on, there will be a link down in the description below for you guys to check out the Kickstarter, because I mean, I know I personally, as well as, you know, my friends, are very invested in the idea of getting into it. So
It's going to be, I hope you all are really going to love it. It's, imagine if, so you are going to be able to go on an adventure, and your familiars kind of be your best friend. So instead of, like, say, collecting all the familiars, you are going to form bonds with a couple, and you're going to be able to explore your, you know, as you grow in power, they're going to kind of grow in power with you, and you're going to go on this big grand adventure together, and you're going to have some almost like, I'm not going to say symbiotic relationship, but definitely like this really deep bond that's going to kind of, like, the more that you invest in that, the more powerful, like, you both will become. And it's going to be great.
I definitely cannot wait to get into getting a bond with the Infernander. I love Infernander so much. I just like dragons.
I mean, yeah, they're, who doesn't love dragons? Giant fiery salamander.
Dragons are like the best. I mean, there's a reason why the Blue Eyes White Dragon is one. I mean, like, because of course dragons are the best.
I think that's probably, I mean, is that the most popular card in Yu-Gi-Oh? I feel like if it's not, it's got to be close.
It's either that or Dark Magician. There's one of those two. Might be Blue Eyes though, because there's a new starter deck coming out in January, and there isn't a new Dark Magician one. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember when I was back in, you know, school, when people were, I may be aging myself a little bit here, but, you know, people were running that, so it was very popular. It's been popular for a long time.
All right, so we talked a little bit about the synergies that comes up with the cards that we revealed today. We talked a little bit about the play styles that it has, as well as the synergies it has with other play styles as well. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Let's see, we talked about the upcoming tournament, we talked about the RPG, we talked about how Might is all about power, toughness, recurring your allies back onto the board, some control mechanics via the removal of space, and flipping over your opponent's support cards. I feel like we covered everything. So I'll just leave it at come try out the game, come use Might and see how powerful it is in the Tabletopia mod, either with us on Wildheart's community night, or if Fridays don't work for you, we have the mod open all the time, and I know a bunch of people love playing it, so go ahead and ping TCG or LFG TCG. It's a role you can grab within the Discord, and someone can come play with you, or message me directly, and I will schedule a time to play with you when I have time.
And I mean, if you guys don't feel comfortable going to them, they're like I said, there's going to be a link to the Discord down below. There'll also be a link to my Discord down below. Ping me, ping one of my friends, JadeJonny. We're always looking to get more games in with the game. I mean, if we're available, and we'll definitely be willing to jump in there too. I mean, if that's what you guys would like. I mean, if they're not available, then I mean, JadeJonny or I will definitely be available.
Yeah, we have another thing to kind of look forward to is we do have a call-in contest coming up. So if you're really good at that, you can
Oh. 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 That is. That is
Let me
amazing.
zoom in on that so you can really.
That is. Oh my god. Okay. That is. That's an exclusive art too. Is this the first time it's being shown? I don't remember seeing it in any other art.
No, well, it's on the flyer.
Okay.
So there's here, let me.
I didn't look too much at the pictures on the flyer. I know Chris talked a bit about some of the stuff on there with me the other day.
Yeah, let me stream the flyer here if this is gonna work. I don't know about this. Can you still see it?
Yeah. I remember Chris telling me about the
Oh,
Jedi, so I didn't remember the Alistair's Guide part.
yeah, so there is a coloring contest coming on October 22nd. It's gonna go for 4 weeks, judged weekly. So you'll have four separate weeks in which you could win the Alistair's Guide. We have the ambassador event going on, so invite your friends. The winners will get that cute gel ice. I'm sorry about that. That is my. I have type 1 diabetes, that's my glucometer going off. So.
I thought that was my headset.
No.
We're good. You're completely fine.
And then, yeah, so then we got that inaugural tourney starting on November 9th, where you can win the Fertellus Canyon. Oh, each player has minus one space in this field. We're right, we did see that earlier.
Okay, cool.
So that is the exclusive alternate art, and once these arts are done, they're not coming back. So once this is gone, it's gone.
That is something that I love about like getting on Kickstarters early is just having those exclusive items where I can go like, I knew the game would succeed. Get wrecked. I was here day one.
Right, yeah. And because of that you were rewarded with a unique piece of history. Like I wish I would have been around, when like Pokemon or Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh were first coming around. Like that would have been pretty cool to be part of that.
Oh yeah.
Not that I'm saying we're gonna become the next big unicorn, but we might be.
Always good to have that goal of wanting to be there, but understanding, hey, doesn't always mean it will. Definitely.
Right. Reality and wishes are often two very different things.
That's when you reject reality and assert your own.
Right.
But no, I definitely think that I think there's a lot of fun events that are going on, and I mean the best way you can stay in touch with all those is definitely by joining the Discord. Like I said, there will be a link directly in the description below. I might just slap it in the comment section as a pinned comment, just so it's even easier to access, so you don't have to go through.
Right. And if you join through this, make sure that when you get in there, you update in the referral section that JadeJonny sent you, so that you can earn that super cool gel ice.
Oh yeah, there is a reference portion in there, and go like JadeJonny sent you, because I am currently behind by 3 points.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the top 5, right? So.
All right, yeah. hey. If you're not first, you're last.
I mean, there is that. That would be funny if we did that on a card somehow. I don't know.
They're all serialized.
Yes. The first one is like 1 of 1, and then the next one is just like 1 over last. The rest.
Last to lose, and then it goes second to lose, third to lose, first to lose.
Right.
No, but I definitely think that this game is extremely fun, and if you guys aren't already in the Discord, join the Discord. I mean, I know there's quite a few people who have come over from Celestials who have already started playing the game, and I know that's where quite a bit of my viewer base comes from is Celestials. So if you guys are interested in the game at all, if me talking to Randy has any way swayed you, go ahead and check out. Even if you guys don't want to do the whole referral thing, just go ahead and join the Discord. people are always looking to play games whenever they have the free time. So, and I mean, there's a print and play section. You can print out the cards, shove them in as proxies inside, like, you know, your pre-built Yu-Gi-Oh deck. They'll fit into those sleeves. Your Celestials deck, your Pokemon deck, they'll fit in there, and we can, you know, have a webcam game where we can show you the ropes if you guys don't want to play Tabletopia. So.
Yes, and playing it physically is wildly fun. So I highly recommend, at the very least, doing the print and play and playing physically with some of your friends. It's a really good time.
It also feels really nice to have the card sitting in front of you. I mean, I was messing around with airing the other day. I just printed it out, put it inside one of the sleeves, and I was like, this just looks so right. Just having a Wildheart card in a sleeve, it just looks so right.
Mm-hmm. And it makes, you know, some of the mechanics, like you can see in the gel ice there, like take a random card from your opponent's hand. It just works really well physically. I mean, it works well in Tabletopia too, but it feels better physically.
I think we've covered everything we wanted to cover. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up the video?
No. Other than thank you so much for taking the time to do this deep dive with me. It is always a blast chatting with you, and I had a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it was always a blast. I mean, like, and I mean, I have no doubt that after this call, we're probably gonna stay after this video ends. Like after I stop recording, we're probably just gonna talk for like 5-10 minutes about all the different things that we love about Might. Because this is, I mean, there's so much to talk about with Might. I mean, I'm enjoying everything involved in it. I was talking to Chris the other day, and he was like, "Did you like being like, you know, the ambassador for Might?" And I was like, honestly, at first I kind of like had it thrown on me, and now I'm like, I just love it. Like, airing is just so adorable. It looks like Sinister Serpent if Sinister Serpent was like, you know, not creepy. I mean, I was like, Chrism is like just the most adorable thing ever. In the trailer for Wildhearts, Chrism just rises up and like always has like this happy look on his face. I'm just like, I don't even hate it. I'm okay with this. I love it. I mean, and then it just plays a way that I just thoroughly enjoy, especially when combined with tactics. It's just definitely one of those things where it's just right up my alley.
Yeah, when the design team asked me for my thoughts on what the Chrism should look like, I sent them all sorts of images of golems that I thought I wanted. And then they didn't go with any of them because they wanted a golem with a face, and none of those golems I sent them had faces. And then they came up with that design, and I was just like, wow, this looks so much better than I was really anticipating. Because I wasn't like hugely on board with the golem with a face at first, but I think they nailed it.
Yeah, it's definitely, it would, like, when I saw the image of Chrism, I was like, okay, this is cute. And then I saw the video of it, and I was like, okay, this is awesome. Just the way it stands up with that, like, just happy, content smile. I was just like, I just love this.
Yeah, he's just a big, good old rock boy. Like, he's just gonna... And then the way that he's described in lore, I think, is really cool, where he just kind of travels around in the forest and kind of tends to it in a way. And I just think that he's just super chill and fun. Like, he just sounds super peaceful, and like this big rock golem you just do not want to mess with, but like a gentle giant at the same time.
Well, I am excited to get into the Might discussion that we can have after this. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video here so we don't just spend the next 20 minutes rambling on camera about, like, you know, all this.
Okay. Yeah, take all your video space.
The longer the video goes, the more people are going to go like, Jesus Christ, I thought they said they were done!